Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Commander and Coffee. With us today, we have Wilson.
Hello, everyone. And we also have with us Simon from Germany.
Oh, yes. Hello, everyone. Nice to have me there.
Yeah. Definitely a little bit later for you now, huh? Because it's around 3 o'clock our time right now. It's what time about you?
It's 9 p.m. In Germany, so...
Well, we'll get you out of here pretty quickly. That way you can get to bed.
Thank you.
So, what is everyone up to?
Mostly running around for my snow day. Nothing crazy.
Fair. Simon, do you guys get snow out there?
Not really. It's cold in Germany. It's like around one degree Celsius, and so it's around
32-ish.
The temperature. Yes, 32ish, where it should snow, but unfortunately, it's just cold and not snowing.
It's wild.
Yeah, I hope for some snow, but not today.
That's fair. Wilson, why don't you tell us why we're here today?
So, I'd like to get down to we're here because Simon here won his local tournament on Gitrog, my favorite deck. So, I wanted to have a little conversation about it and see how we can find out what Gitrog is good at and see how he won.
Yeah, for sure. I like to talk about Gitrog, so...
Oh, I definitely like to talk about Gitrog too. It's kind of my bad habit, but before we get into that, weirdly enough, how did you start playing Magic?
Yeah, I think I started a little bit before I started playing Magic. I started like in school playing Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon. So
Okay.
I was like 5-ish when I started with those games.
Okay.
And I think I'm 24 now, so I've played card games for the better 20 years of my life. And at like around 10, I started with M10 playing Magic the Gathering, so I'm playing like 14 years now.
14 years-ish?
Yes, 14 years-ish. And I've always played green decks. So that's my bad habit, playing green decks. I'm playing like elves for 15 years, 14, 15 years now, close to this. And therefore, yeah, I'm playing Magic for a long time now and always played green. So Gitrog is like a natural choice for me. But I think I've picked Gitrog up in like 2020. So that's
2020?
when I first started playing it, yes.
Okay.
And kind of let it down in 22 and started playing like Mono Green Titania for 2.5 years and just came back in like September this year. Play
Okay.
Gitrog mainly.
I feel Gitrog is in a good spot right now, so I think it's a good time to pick the deck back up. So I definitely see that. So how has it been feeling? So we have a very different kind of meta here. We like to describe it as mid-range hell. Billy, confirm, deny.
Oh, absolutely. If you don't have a risk study, you're kind of busted.
So we don't really draw cards very well unless we have our engine in line, but what are ways do you think that so basically what I've been seeing recently and something that we confirmed before we started that a lot of people now that we don't have dockside in the meta are like basically free rolling a lot of artifacts and rocks and things, and basically our best card has become Calling Ritual.
Yes, for sure.
For sure. And I feel like that's kind of something that everyone's picked up in TNT now, and it's like everyone's kind of aware of it now, but I don't know. Sometimes you just can get away with a lot of things with that. Um, at your tournament, how were some of your matches? You did talk about Calling Ritual definitely helping you on some of your springboard you to win or two there, but
Yes. I've played like a lot of, you described as mid-range shell. I would describe it as mid-range shell too, because I think it's kind of sluggish. But in my opinion, that's the way where Gitrog excels. That's like a good setup because you don't feed the heuristic study. So a lot of in my lot of matches I've played where I've won the game in the end. I'm in the free games. I had people deploying a heuristic study and they were like, relaxing and oh yeah god, my heuristic study will carry me through the game. And the Gitrog monster won't trigger the heuristic study if you're in your engine turn. If you're dredging, you won't really trigger heuristic study. It's like 1 or 2 triggers when you cast like Assassin's Trophy, or abrupt decay on something, but most of the time you're just dredging, drawing your library, and nothing happens.
I
Which
do agree. There's many
yes,
times where I can set up a layered win where they only get to draw 4 cards to try to stop us. And
yes,
that feels very powerful in these kind of situations. I don't know.
yeah. So the laid back situation where you're like playing with Rhystic Study against Storm decks or other TNT decks, this kind of value from Rhystic Study isn't going to get you value against a Gitrog monster because there's not a lot of trigger you can eventually get till the game is over, and I think that's the big win that Gitrog is having right now because it's like easy to win through Rhystic Study.
Right.
Right.
So you would say something like it's Ristic and Mystic proof, so to speak.
Yeah, kinda.
So layering on top of that, layered combo. Um, what would you say some of the other strengths of Gitrog is versus any other, 2-color deck, we'll say?
I think one strength I've realized was that a lot of people didn't know Gitrog Monster. They are like they started to play in like 2022, 23 and played premier online tournaments, so there was not a lot of Gitrog Monster around, and they were like, huh, what does this card do? And I had a Japanese version, so yeah, it's not like you can turn over the card and read it, and they had to check what does Gitrog Monster do, and kind of let it alone, and yeah, didn't respect the card. And I think that's one of the features by when you bring Gitrog, because a lot of people don't know what this card is capable and therefore disrespect it, and this will eventually result in you winning some games because they're just not aware what is going to happen.
Billy, can you feel my ear to ear grin
Oh yeah,
and the truth in
absolutely.
his statement? It's so great.
Yeah, we just still don't respect you. That's the problem.
That's the problem.
I mean, most
Oh,
of us have been playing against you for absolute ages, so we kind of know. I mean, I pretty much taught you how to play the deck way back
I
when we
know.
built it, so I'm okay
Exactly.
with it. Um, but like on that, so on that same thing, where a lot of people aren't tending to know exactly how it's played or anything like that, and you mentioned people joining in a little later in time, or more recently, I should say. How long have you been playing Magic? I know you said you started playing card games when you were like 4 or 5, which is very similar to like myself because I started also
But,
with Pokemon and
uh,
Yu-Gi-Oh when I was about 7, 8 years old.
I think I was like 10 years when I started playing Magic, but the real entrance into CDH I made like in late 2019. That's when I started playing CDH, I would say. Because I'm from Germany, there's not a lot of ways, or there were not a lot of ways to play this game. So I played through a Discord server because then in early 2020, something like called Corona started. So we were like locked down, and I had a lot of time playing Magic, or I had a lot of time to play Magic. Let's say it this way. And yeah, that's when I started to play heavy CDH. And yeah, I started with playing like Ursa for 2 or 3 weeks, and then decided, nah, that's not my jam. Played a little bit of Gitrog Monster here and there because it was like, I can remember that Into the North released their 2 hour-ish episode about Gitrog Monster, and I was like immediately hooked, but didn't start playing the deck. It was like a weird occasion where I was at the doctor's and read the novel from Innistrad about Gitrog Monster when I first started to play this deck. So yeah, I was hooked through lore, you could say. I read the lore about Gitrog laying in the swamp and getting sacrifices, and I think that's how the deck is played today, because you're just waiting for the other people to do their job, and then you are playing a culling ritual, getting 20-ish mana, and win the game.
I love
So
that. That's
yeah.
great. That is like Wilson. That's very similar to yours because you actually also started with the lore of Gitrog, and now you just ran with it now.
no, I'm running with it forever. It's fine. I can't wait for my AP for the new art. I'm excited. Already.
Did you pick up an RP and AP?
Oh, I made sure to become Instagram friends with him right away. I got there.
Oh
I'll
my
try.
man,
I'll try.
I need that AP too. It's so gorgeous. This little frog laying in the swamp. Oh my god, I need that AP.
It's so good.
Yes.
Okay, we're getting distracted by beautiful art and all the little fun things.
I
Now,
mean, but still, it's a thing that like draws you to it. Like, I mean that's definitely what drew you to Gitrog. Did you play anything in the past? Any other ones? You kind of started CDH while I mean, most people that I personally interacted with usually start around the time of Ikoria, which is around that 2020 time. Um, I myself, Wilson included, have been playing. Gosh, I think I'd probably put myself more in line of playing CDH before it was CDH around the 2015 era. I don't know if you've ever heard of the Lab Maniacs.
Yes.
Back
Yes.
when they first started, I was playing CDH. So, um, that's about when I met Wilson too, which is funny. So,
exactly. We decided to play CDH and to try to play the most competitive versions of our decks, and that's how it was. Sat
Yeah,
there stacked under a Derevi.
true. But yeah, so did you play any other ones before you settled on Gitrog?
I've I've kind of switched around. I'm like someone. I'm not focused on meta decks by any means, but I need to vibe with a deck. That's like what I need when I'm playing a deck. I think the first deck I've kind of wiped it was the Gitrog Monster, then I switched to Titania, uh, like a
Now,
more
did
elite deck.
you? Oh, so land sacrifice Titania, right? Sorry, for
Yes,
some reason.
this exactly this deck, and I've had my fair share. Never played a real tournament because it was not really possible in Germany. So there was like one online tournament. I think it was the second Chaos tournament that ever took
Okay.
place, and I've played like Corvold, and I got like absolutely destroyed. It's like all 4-drop or something like that. It was really bad. And then I've decided to play like more fringe decks because I really vibed with Titania, played it for a bit, and when some of my friends made the decision to go to this local tournament, I've decided to play something I which in my opinion fits perfectly in the anti-meta, I would say. It's like the perfect counter deck, and I think Gitrog Monster is on top of there, being an anti-meta deck, because it's like having the opportunity to shut down those nasty artifacts with Collector Oof, or destroying them by playing Culling Ritual, or not interacting with all other decks. It's like, in my opinion, one of the best anti-meta decks, and that's why I picked
That's
Gitrog.
why you picked up that list in that exact
Yes.
thing. Yeah.
And I
I
kind yes?
continue. Sorry.
Yeah. I kinda was laughed at when I presented my pick, because it was like, yeah, Gitrog Monster. Nothing will ever happen. And something happened. So
Yeah.
yeah,
That's
I'm kind of glad I picked this list.
no. I'm the opposite. I built my list to compete with other fast decks and things like that. So I make choices based on that personally. But I definitely understand the oofs. The oofs have always worked back in the day. All the stacks pieces, you get the holy trinity almost. You get like you can even play a Dolphy Voidwalker. You can always play a opposition agent. You get a Bowmaster now and a Collector Roof. We basically get all the best stacks pieces, and we have all the best ways to find them.
Yes.
So would you say you're more of a? I know you mentioned, the turbo versus mid range. Have you tried the turbo version of Frog? And I'm gonna flip the same question to you, Wilson. Have you tried the mid range version of Frog?
So, for me personally, I think the mid-range frog doesn't vibe with my OCD. I just want to go fast. But I know that it will do what I need it to do, and it will do it like very. I feel like playing this deck for long enough to where you can hand me any frog list and I'll figure out how to kill you. It's not. It'll only take me but the moment and one demonic tutor to figure it out. But that's just how I feel. How about you, Simon?
I think in hindsight, if I would go to another tournament, I would likely switch to another, like more faster, kind of high rollier list where you have like either you brick or you win, because my top cut was really, really bad. I was like 9th overall, and only the 10th, only 1 to 10th went through.
Get to
So,
play, yeah.
yes, I think another bad matchup or not a draw would result in me not having to play another 2 rounds, semifinals and finals. So I think in another tournament with more players, I would play a more faster list, because I think this will eventually result you in 2 wins, and 2 wins is better than like 1 win and 1 draw, because like my
Because of the
one
math, for sure.
yes because it's mathing. Like my 1 draw was, or could have been, an win with a more faster list. Let's put it this way.
I do feel that. Luckily, my I have a little bit of research because luckily I did personally did get a top 10 this month or last month technically. And I had that exact thing happen to me where my 2 wins right away cemented me and I had no idea. I got round 4, I walked into all a pair up into all the top seat and they're like, "Can we draw?" And I went, "I guess." And like, "You're locked now, by the way." And I just looked at them and I went, "Oh, high rolling all my wins really did help out, so that's good. Works out." My top 10 game did not go as well as yours, clearly, where my turn 1 opponent played Island, Soul Ring, uh, Agatha's Cauldron, and passed to me, and then on the next turn played Ristic Study, but kept that hand off of that, and then proceeded to draw almost 20 cards with no more lands. So it felt good to watch that happen, at least in my 3-hour finals game. But
Yeah, on a funny note, I got absolutely demolished when I played Collector Oof. The one time I played Collector Oof, I got absolutely demolished. Demolished? I got absolutely destroyed.
demolished. Yeah,
Demolished.
destroyed.
Thank you.
Demolished. You were very close. You're
Demolished.
good.
Yeah, I got absolutely destroyed. So, yeah, in a tournament setting, it's like the more safer list, I would say. It's like playing, when you play a lot of games, it's I think, the better way, because they're in a wide variety of games, you will be set up better. But if you're playing like 4 or 5 games, just high roll it. If you don't get the high rolly hands, if you don't get the good mulligans, you don't gonna win anyways. So let's just go for the like more tutors, less interaction, and I think that's what I would play in another tournament.
For sure.
Yeah, looking at your list, I mean, there's it's pretty much standard as what I would see in almost every Gitrog list. Personally, there's only a couple things that I think are interesting. We already mentioned about the collector oof before, but again, that's part of the trinity of cage oof and or null rod effects and torpor orb effects. But what's interesting to me is like Sylvan Scrying and the Arc Druid Charm. Maybe you can explain to me Arc Druid's Charm because I've seen it. I've talked to Wilson. I'm like, hey man, maybe just try it. Maybe we're wrong about this card. I'm personally not a believer because I usually play more than 2 colors, so like triple green kind of scares me. So, and I mean, you also on Chains of Mephistopheles, so I'm a big fan of that card, but that's me.
Yeah, I picked Arcturus Charm just for a post culling ritual eventuality where I have like 10 black, 10 green mana, just to find like either a way to remove a stacks piece or find my discard outlet or land. And I think it's not really good in a, you mentioned it, it's 3 green mana. So there's like the heavy investment you have to do, but I think it's more, or I put it there because it's more like a culling ritual, post culling ritual outlet.
Okay.
And I think more tutors are better than less tutors. Like the math is mathing. And yeah, that's why I put it there.
I run Yavimaya Hollow, so I have less of an argument too, which is funny. It's because one land will just fix all my problems regardless too. So
Yes. And I think Simon's Crying is just a land tutor. I kind of like it
oh,
because it's fine
it does
talent gate.
everything. Yeah,
Yeah, it's
talent
fine
game.
talent gates. Talent gates twice saved me the game. So I think finding talent gate is not a bad idea. I think it's just such an underrated card, to be honest. Especially in this deck, it's like I would put it on the top 5 best cards in this deck because there's not a good way to interact with it. Yeah, there's the potential stifle to stifle the effect, but I I don't know if
There's so
that's
many other things they'd rather
yes,
stifle.
Yeah, they're
yes.
There's
less
so
likely
many
to do
other
that.
things.
Nobody's
That's
going
like
to
it's so good.
yeah,
No, continue.
nobody's going to hold back a stifle to stifle talent gates of Madeira from a like Gitrog deck. So yeah. It saved me the game, exiled a Void Winnower and an Manglehorn. So yeah,
Oh, the Manglehorn.
good
Okay,
card.
yeah. That it. I didn't think about that one because that does stop you.
That's I've been feeling I've been missing my Manglehorn because I keep thinking about wanting a Ristic or an Elven or oh no, Rexage. There we go. Just
Well, Rexage and Manglehorn do two different things.
no, I'm already wrong, man. This is great.
Rexage hits artifacts and enchantments. Manglehorn only
Where's
hits
the Rexage?
artifacts.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even think about that part.
Well, oh my gosh. The other one has the Manglehorn has the upside of being a stacks piece as well. So
Yeah.
that's where the upside of that one. Some other notables that I've noticed you're on is like Wild Growth, but you're not on
Yeah.
Utopia Sprawl. And then Draga Tree Speaker. Those are the
Yes.
other two.
Those are like flex spots normally for
Yeah. I kinda never had the problem to not have black mana. So there's I think you could play Utopia Sprawl and put out a Yoraga Tree Speaker, but having a Yoraga Tree Speaker is like I kinda like to have a body more. So I put Yoraga there because I think sometimes it's necessary to block out some creatures and not giving
not the
the
blockers.
yes.
Yeah.
So
Makes total sense. And
not
then, oh, gone.
yeah,
I'm just like
not a lot of big math behind this one.
And then finally, my personal favorite, Grist. How
Yes,
how much has that come in clutch for you?
it won me one of the games. It won me my first game because I could play Grist, sacrifice a creature, and destroy it target permanent. I'm like on Grist ever since it came out in I don't know when came Grist out.
Horizons 2?
Yes, I guess it's Horizons 2. I always played it in all decks playing Golgari colors because I think it's you can tutor it and you can play it as a removal spell and also get your blocker bit, but that's like the most uninteresting thing about it. But having a removal more that is searchable is kind of nice with a creature tutor.
Yeah, especially like the fact that you could tutor with any of your black or green tutors. I mean, you
Yes.
could literally just quarter calling it out and just put it around in the battlefield end step if you really need something, and just to get rid of that problem creature or planeswalker.
Yeah, that's I think that's the best one of the best removal in this deck because it's so easy to find. You don't have to waste like one of your black tutors and can just fire off a green tutor, like Survival of the Fittest or something like that. Recycle a card you really don't need. You can drop down a Golgari Grave Troll with Dredge 6 and find yourself a Grist and have Dredge 6 in your next upkeep. That's the next draw phase. If you don't have like a way to force a draw. That's really neat. I think Carpet of Flowers is like one of the cards I would definitely not play anymore.
Yeah.
I've played a lot of blue focused decks, but never had like a lot of value out of this. So that would be a card I would eventually cut.
Yeah, I've
I
been personally off carpet on most of my decks. Actually, all of my decks now that I think about it. For a while now. It's just you see the right in the wild. There's not many decks that actually utilize their land base. So maybe they might get one, maybe two mana off it.
Yeah.
it's at best it's ever going to be a soul ring that gives you colored mana.
Yes, that's totally true. I would
Or
100% agree to the statement.
I found myself wanting to have like I would beseech away the chains or beseech away my carpet if we're on beseech. I don't believe you are, but that was
No.
my mentality with it.
Yes. But I think if you need to cut a card, cut Carpet of Flowers. Even if
Yeah.
you're playing like I've played Kinnan. My final pot was like Kinnan, and Gitrog. And even then I've decided to not take a Carpet of Flowers because it's not that valuable.
Okay. I think I should we switch over and do some mulligans at this point, I think.
We can do
Try to
whatever
see
you want. Do you have anything else to ask? Anything else to say about the deck, like how it's played or anything? Anything you want to add for the people at home?
Yeah, for sure. I think the biggest, let's say, problem in quotation marks with Gitrog is not like playing the deck. It's like knowing, or it's like to know when to go for the win. That's the thing you need to practice because all my wins came from seed 4, the seed with the least win percentage. But I think I managed really good to see my window and use the window I got presented. And I think that's the thing you need to practice if you want to win with Gitrog Monster. You need to play this deck a lot. And by lot, I mean a lot. You need to know when is your window to win the game, when the counter spells are used, when the interaction is low, when the people don't respect your deck. And that's like, I think, the biggest problem with playing an anti-meta deck. You need to know when to go for the win. And in my matches, I had a lot of people not knowing when to go for the win, and that in the end presented me the wins. I had like my semifinals was like Magda and Catilda. They had like combined 20 artifacts and creatures with mana value 2 or less, and they each other they stacked each other out and put like more and more stacks pieces on the game. And at once I was like 1 mana away from my Vampiric Tutor, found the land, played Vampiric Tutor in the end step before my turn, and went for the Culling Ritual and just won the game with like 17 or 18 mana in my pool.
Still
And
floating. Yeah.
yes, that was like game. And I think that's the thing you need to learn with Gitrog. You need to know when to find your removal spells, because removing stacks pieces can also lose you the game if you are not in a favored position and you remove something like a Torpor Orb or something like Deafening Silence. You will eventually lose the game because there's a deck that can win on top of you, or will have a better head start or something like that. And this is like the thing you need to practice. I think that's what you can learn from this kind of list, because it's like not really unforgiving for making some mistakes, you could say. But I think a lot of sense from the deck come when you play the deck a lot. And that's what I would suggest. And even if you're losing a lot, if you're making better plays the next game, you in the end will get you some good results. That's my
I do
opinion on this
agree.
like list.
No, for sure. This deck is very. This deck is is the more you play it, the more you'll understand the lines, and the more that you'll feel comfortable when put in high stress situations where you need to find your window in between situations. Like, I personally had a fun game a couple nights ago, won under a deafening silence, and they all looked at me sideways like, "How do you know how do you win under this?" And I went, "Oh, all I need is this one card, and then to four horsemen, and you're all dead." And they went, "Oh, you're right." And I went, "Yep, let's go do another one." And that's all it was. I don't know how
Yeah.
it is. Um,
Yeah, so
okay.
we want to switch over to some mulligans?
Yes, for sure.
Sure. All right. Everyone see my screen?
Yep.
Yes.
All right. So let's start off with this one actually, because I kind of like where this is at right now. Um, I'll read it off, and then we'll hear your thoughts, both of your thoughts actually. So we have Beseju Who Endures, Bazaar Baghdad, Forest, Llanowar Waste, Allosaurus Shepherd, Noose Constrictor, and my boy Grist. So
So
take it away. Whoever wants to go first.
here, I'm gonna steal the mic.
Yes.
I I feel that the uncounterability, depending on your pod placement, matters with the Allosaurus Shepherd, and the removal that'll sit there and get attrition is pretty good. And then Bazaar Baghdad's like a hard thing to mull away when you see lands that you can actually keep playing because it'll just dig you. So I think this is probably a fine keep, Simon.
I totally agree. If it's my first mulligan, if it's like my first mulligan in a tournament on seed 1, I kinda would mulligan it away because I can't see a way where I find my Darkmoor Salvage fast enough. But it's like
Okay.
if it's like the second mulligan on seed
If it's
3 or
second seven, or
yes,
so this is a safe hand. Yeah,
yes, it's a
exactly.
safe hand. I think second 7 on turn 3, on seed 3, I would totally hold this hand because, as you mentioned, the uncounterability and the discard outlet. Bazaar of Dugdad most of the time will find you something valuable, and Grist as a removal spell with Boseiju, I think it would be a keep. Not on
Yeah.
turn, not on
Stack
seed
depend
1.
or pod dependent, but definitely the
Yes.
if I saw a Magda and I saw a Tivit or I saw a deck that's going to actively stacks me out, I would have to snap this off. I think just or an Underworld Breach check just for the Besieger alone. But
Yes, for
I don't
sure.
know. It depends on how it goes.
All right, next one up. Take it away, Wilson.
So we have a nurturing peatland, a prismatic vista, the snow-covered swamp, Bazaar again, Jiraga tree speaker, a wild growth, and a trophy. Now we have like a dork here. We have a little bit of draw. If there's like a red pod, I probably wouldn't mulligan this. But if there's not like a red player in the pod, I think I'm interested in mulliganing this.
Yeah, totally agree on that. I think there's no real way to find your winning lines, so I kind of would mulligan it away because in a chilly game or in a chill game on a game night, I would
Yeah.
hold his hand just to test the limits and see if there are some lines I could find with like Bazaar of Baghdad and Nurturing Peatland. But in a tournament setting, I would definitely mulligan it away because there are no tutors and not a real way to win the game fast enough. Let's put it this way.
So let's actually mulligan on this one then. One one time.
All right. This is our second 7. Go ahead, Simon. You can read this one off.
Okay, there's a Wooded Foothills, Putrid Imp, a Chains of Mephistopheles, a Green Sun Zenith, a Autumn's Veil, a Ramnop Excronator, and a good old Bog.
Yeah, the good old bog. Yeah.
The good old Bog.
So Simon, I know how I feel about this hand. How do you feel about this hand?
I feel really good about this hand. I
Yeah.
like this one. I like this one a lot. I think playing the Bog turn 1, then turn 2 Wooded Foothills into Remnant Excavator into Wooded Foothills the next turn. is
You're
like
not wrong. It's powerful. The
it's
Peapog
powerful.
is definitely some of the more fun turn one Peapog pass, and people look at you and they're like, "Did you even take a turn one?" And they just don't know. They don't understand how powerful that card will be for us later in the game. But
There's
okay,
the Imp, there's the Zenith. I think on a second 7, I would definitely keep it. It's not the best hand by any means, but it's good enough to get you some game going on. Especially with Green Sun Zenith, you kind of can find yourself a delighted halfling to get this protection, or if you don't want, if you want all your spells covered, you can find yourself an Allosaurus Shepherd. So there's like a lot of game from this hand, so I would keep it as a second 7, like we mulliganed it.
okay.
Love that. All right, let's do another one. Interesting. Okay. So there's a gemstone in this hand. So let's talk about if you're in first seat versus third seat again. Beseiju Who Endures, Gemstone Caverns, Shifting Woodlands, Command Tower, Nurturing Peatland, Life from the Loam, and Archer's Charm.
I don't know if I'd keep this one.
No.
Can I read? I have to read. Yeah, I was like, I could reread Archmage Charm. Maybe it gets better.
Search for a
But
creature or land, put onto the battlefield as land, or put a +1/+1 counter on target creature, and then it deals damage equal to its power to creature you don't control. It's not fight. Um, and then or exile target artifact or enchantment. I'm in agreement. I 100% think this is a ship. I don't think that this is actually a good hand. It looks good because you get to start out with Gemstone and you pitch uh, probably your command tower, honestly.
Yes.
Because Shifting
yeah,
Woodlands is super powerful, but like, I don't know offhand. I think
I
this
think
you can do
this is
better.
a famous track hand. This is a trap hand. If
Yeah.
Trade Eyes was my statement in my head, but yeah, let's get another one.
Yes.
Okay. This one: Peatbog, Cradle, Forbidden Orchard, Mana Confluence, Undergrowth Stadium, Ulamog the Infinite Gyre, and Sylvan Library. I'm in the camp here that this is a pitch.
Yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
yeah. The
It's like
Peapog was sad. Was the first card I saw, and then
the,
everything else didn't go with it.
the Cradle is sad, in my opinion.
eh,
All right, down to 6. All right, Cavern, Windswept, Overgrown Tomb, Polluted Delta, Putrid Imp, Tainted Pact, Ad Nauseum. I'm down to
I-
keep this as a 6 personally.
for sure. I kinda dig with that. I totally would hold his hand.
Now, here's
Like
my question: what do you put back? I'm putting back probably either the Delta or the Tainted Pact. Or actually, no, I lied. I'm putting back the Ad Nauseum because I'm Tainted Pacting
I
for
think
the
it's the
Dakmor.
Nas. Yeah, I think it's the
yes,
Nas. Yeah.
it's the Norse. I think
There's
there's not a world where you would cast ad nauseum. I think there's a statement you could make. It's a value Norse, but I think having 4 lands is totally fine. Playing a slower game in a kind of more mid-rangey pot, that's totally holdable hand. You could put down the ad nauseum and would be fine.
Yeah, so I think there might be argument to put down in all honesty, put down the Putrid Imp. Then you Tainted Pact for like a Dark Rit or Cabal Rit, and then add Nas right after that. But it also depends on how much how much you trust your deck to be ripped through. Between that.
Yes.
how much of a high roll you can do. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. How about another one? Thoughts, guys?
Yes, for sure.
One more.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
I'll read it off. So, Polluted Delta, Shifting Woodland, Overgrown Tomb, Rain of Filth, Derogatory Speaker, Outsourced Shepherd, Calling Rich, or excuse me, Court of Calling. Uh, I feel like I like this one because you have the dorks and you'll have the mana by turn 3. And I personally, normally, if I'm going to be in a safe hand, I try to go off on turn 4 to 3. But, I don't know, Woodland's there. I think there's the ramps there, the Outsourced Shepherd's there, Uncounterable Quarter Calling seems pretty good. I don't know. Simon, how do you feel?
I totally would hold his hand on seat to 4. I would totally hold this hand. It's like a safe play. As you mentioned, there's not a lot of room for errors. But
Yeah.
if I'm
Trying
like
to high roll.
dictating the tempo, I would roll this hand and would try to find another tutor or two. In my games, I've tried to find at least 2 tutors. Most of the time, I mulligan for 3 tutors just to be
Okay.
safe. Having a coloring ritual backup and the tutor for land in form of
Fair.
Dagmar Salvage and the Imbor
Yeah.
Boa.
Rose Uncharted is definitely. Oh, I miss playing that card. But so let's assume we're mulliganing this, Billy.
There you go.
And it's a forest. I'm not sure if I'm on the mind of. This is one of those hands to where if it's game night, I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna draw
Yes.
my card, and I'm gonna pitch that grave troll. I'm gonna pass, and everyone's gonna look at me like I'm crazy.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
Peat Bog, Snow Covered Forest, Urza Saga, Opposition Agent, Sylvan Safekeeper, Finale of Devastation, and Golgari Grave Troll.
Sorry, I got way too excited in my head there.
I don't know. I think I would pitch this hand. It's not.
Yeah,
It just
It's
doesn't
not that-
do
You're right.
anything.
Yes.
You're right. This is the bad fun hands.
And a 6?
Oh,
Oh, I like this one.
this one I like. It's like Lotus Petal, Chromox, Cable Pit, a Forest, Crack the Vault in form of Grim Tutor, Opposition Agent, and Sylvan Library.
I like this hand.
Yes, I really like this hand.
No.
So
We're on 6 technically, or no?
we are on
right?
6, yep.
We're on 6.
So we're putting Cabal Pit back, right? Are we?
Yes.
I don't think we need to crack the vault. We just play the Sylvan Library right away.
No,
Or
you put the Crack the Vault under the Chrome Mox, and then you have a turn 1 opposition agent, right?
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
you're right, Billy. There we go.
That's what I thought as well. There.
Okay.
And then turn 2, deploy the Sylvan Library and just enjoy. You won't play an Atmos this game, but Sylvan Library drawing 2 cards each turn technically is like good enough.
Yeah.
And you will fire off an opposition agent at a good target, and then you're good to go.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah. Do we want to do one more before I had one more thing that I wanted to do, real quick.
Sure.
Before
for
we
sure.
see everybody out. So one more hand, or go to what I wanted to do.
Let's do
one
it.
more-
Oh, one more hand.
one more
Yeah.
hand. One more hand is
He's
funny.
loving it. Simon's loving this.
Yeah, he's
I
having
kind of
fun.
like
That's all
this.
that
I
matters.
kind of like this. Let's
Okay.
roll with this. I think you learn a lot about the deck when you have like mulligan choices you can kind of copy. I think that's easier for people to pick up this deck with some good mulligan choices and knowing which cards to hold and which cards to ship.
Absolutely. That's kind of like one of the things that throughout the years that I've been doing this, that's one of the biggest feedbacks that I've gotten from people is when we talk about mulligans, it actually helps them understand the deck that we're talking about better. So, with that said, this one
hand
is an
is
interesting hand.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
interesting.
Cradle, Talon Gates, Chrome Box, Wood at Foothills, Demonic Tutor, Arcroot's Charm, and Elvish Spirit Guide.
I would hold this hand 100%.
I was gonna say I kind of want to keep this. It's regardless, it's still a turn 1 D-tutor for whatever you want. Or
However you want.
you could however you want to do it. Or you can get it to. Can you get to a turn 1? You can't get it to a turn 1 Arcturus Charm.
You could. You have to know what's on top of your deck.
Well, yeah.
But
But
my play would be like Wooded Foothills for an good old Bayou, Chromox, Elvish Spirit Guide, Demonic Tutor for the Constrictor.
Yep.
Then next turn Constrictor, Gaia's Cradle, and fired off with an Arcturus Charm. next turn finding yourself a good old Darkmoor Salvage and you're good to go.
Yep.
Have Talon Gates of Madara backup, basically just won the game.
Yeah, that when it was just a snap keep, and I had to,
It's like I would this hand is like heaven.
I
This
mean,
hand is
yeah,
like heaven in
it
a
does
tournament.
everything you want it to do. I only wish that, like, if this cradle was almost any other land, I would be 1000% like full on, full bore, all bricked up on a Monday night kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I totally know what you mean.
I get it. Like I'm so on board because, like, yeah, you're absolutely correct. Getting the Noose Constrictor so you can get the cradle online. It's like, I tend to play a lot of faster decks nowadays, but like I'm like, oh man, cradle it's so good, but it's like so bad in this particular moment. But no, 100 I still would keep this hand personally.
I think if it would be in Bog, it would be like the perfect hand.
Yeah.
No questions asked.
100%. Like we wouldn't be talking about like, yep, scoop it up, boys.
Don't need to play, guys.
Yeah, I already won this game. Here you go. All right. So what I wanted to do is I pulled up. My computer wants to cooperate with me. There we go. I pulled up both of your decks. I pulled up Wilson's and I pulled up Simon's here. And you guys are 32 cards off. So bit of a difference here. And like I just want to talk about some of the differences real quick. And maybe it's a playstyle choice, maybe it's a, just anything choice. You know what I mean? I just want to kind of get to the where that's in. Chains, Wilson has been on and off of chains multiple times. We get it. Like that's fine. I'm okay with that. Cabal,
my wallet's off of chains.
Yeah,
really.
That's exactly it. But like things like crop rot, you're not. I'm sorry, you're on crop rot. You're not in immersion zone, Simon, which I think is a little surprising. And then the Soul Enervation and the Polluted Cistern are two other ones that I always thought was very interesting. And then our good friend Six as well. I saw him in your sideboard. I love Six. I'm a big Six lover. So anything interesting that you see in Wilson's list and vice versa?
Yeah, the 6 is like a pick I would in a list I would put together today. I would definitely put in 6. I've played like Vintage Cube in last Thursday. Last Thursday I played Vintage
you
Cube.
got a 6. You got to have some fun.
No, I got destroyed by 6, kinda.
Okay.
So I've decided I had it in my sideboard. I would just cut out the carpet of flowers, put in 6. It's like why better? So yeah,
100%,
not a lot about. 6 is like a safe pick. You can do whatever.
He's very resilient.
Yes. He is a good buddy, and his abilities like nuts. So yeah, put it into your Gitrog list for sure. It's like not on this one. Don't listen to me. Listen to Wilson playing 6.
No, like, I have a whole package designed around him. Basically, that's where a lot of my weird fringe things come from in my personal list.
Yeah.
Like I want the mill triggers. That is why I'm on Cistern. Like Cistern plus 6 is usually enough to where you just get some attrition damage because they don't realize that Cistern on 2, 6 on 3, just attack the next turn and they start losing 3 life a turn. They'll respect some things or not. It's pretty good, but
it's a package you can definitely think about.
Yeah.
I don't know if it would include it in my list. It's like more mid-range in a more mid-range list. I think it's not worth enough, but in a turbo list, I can totally see it. Yeah. I really like this decision.
My favorite moment was I had a friend of the podcast, Brittany on Twitter, or Brett on Twitter. Shout out Brett. She tested she tested one of my rooms lists when I added both the rooms originally. She's like, I killed them without shuffling my deck. And I went, oh, you killed them without shuffling your deck, eh? It's like, I think we've figured out one of the problems that all Gitrog players want to fix, which is how can we shuffle our deck less? But
Yes,
I don't know. Fun little thoughts.
I shuffled it a lot during this tournament. I like kind of sit there and shuffled for like 45 minutes, and they were like, "Okay, we scoop," and there was like an hour on the timer, and they were like, "Okay, we now scoop." We don't want to sit there another hour watching
Watch
you.
you finish the combo.
Yeah,
No fun.
there were like 20 cards left in my library. There's no way I with this.
How many people made you play it out?
The first made me play it out. The first one,
The first pod.
yeah, the first pod, and from then on, they know what Gitrog is capable of, and there was like always at least an hour on the clock, and they were like, okay, we kind of don't want to sit here because it's not really entertaining or something like that. You are not waiting for something to fail. You're just sitting there taking
Game
taking
actions.
back lands and discarding lands. It's like not fun at all. I kind of see that, but in the end, it worked out. So if there's like 10 minutes left on the clock, I kind of see you let somebody play out this combo, but with 1 hour, there's not a real reason to do this, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I mean, it used to be referred to as the Kazi land state. I don't know if you guys still refer to it as that. But like once somebody like goes through one iteration, I'm like, all right, cool, you know how to do the loop. I'm good here. You know,
I
Yes.
can go take a mental break.
unless there is like some strange thing on the board that like is really mucking things up. Um, I'm usually pretty good with just going, yeah,
Yeah,
all right, cool, I got you.
this was on my first win. There was a white Renoir on the field, and I had to find the Talon Gates of Madara. And this was the first step when they've decided, okay, now show us infinite mana. I showed them infinite mana, and then we're like, okay, you kind of understand how this deck works. You have like the win condition there, final level of devastation, and let it rip. And yeah, from then on, I just had to remove stacks pieces that would eventually cost me the win. And when those pieces were removed, they scooped.
Fair
So
enough.
yeah.
Good.
I think
Awesome.
if you can include more like grinding station, LED lines where you don't have to rely on people being generous with you, I think that's a good choice. Let's put it this way. I think that's not a bad decision to include some of those win cons, just to be sure, in a tournament setting where time actually matters.
I find that once people set up a blind obedience, they think they've won their 1 point. So
Yes.
specifically with Lion's Eye Diamond, like, sorry guys, I know that I can do it the hard way and use Lion's Eye Diamond with my 6 and recast it a million times and force you to make me do the loop the hard way multiple times, because if Jack was my hand when I crack that, it's still gonna go back no matter what you do, unless you get it then, but I don't know. People understand once you set up like a lion's eye lock and they see that you're doing this while discarding your whole thing and then resculpting in between, they usually give up. It's kind of funny that way. They're like, "Oh, you're committed to this." I'm like, no, I know I can still win. It's fine. But
Yes. I really like the Legolas quick reflexes there. I'm I
it's
was
it
Yeah, go ahead.
uh it's one of my favorite fight spells. I've even used it on my opponent's dorks to clear out stacks pieces that are currently stopping people from stopping a win. It's 10 out of 10.
Yes. I I kinda thought about it after the tournament, and I would include it as well in my list now. It's having
I
split second alone would make me put it into a list, but with the fight spell on top, kinda dig that.
I found it to be my veil at this point, in direct comparison to your list. But
Yes. I think Veil is kinda it's two sides of a coin. It's like,
you're right. It's like a blue
you,
blast or a red blast.
yes, sometimes you will hit the space you need to hit if you can say it this way, yeah, where you kinda deflect the force, but MBT still gonna get you.
Yeah,
And
that's
that's the
it.
problem.
I feel like that's a lot of my winning turn conversations are. Do you have mind break trap? You don't have mind break trap. If you cannot mind break trap my lotus petal or the way I choose to make infinite mana in this moment, you got me. But if you can't, the layers, I'll just keep going on top. If you
Yes.
counter the spell, I'll just go find it again and cast it again. It won't matter.
Yes. That's exactly how I feel about MBT and Autumn's Veil and Force of Negation and Force of Will. I kinda don't fear Force of Will. It's like at this point in in the game, it's like, okay, you can kinda discard my card. You don't exile it. Okay, I will just go another round. No worries. But Force of Negation and MBT exiling cards, it's kinda hard.
Yeah. People have even reminded me that I can always run the good old Rift Sweeper, but that's a whole other conversation.
Yeah, for sure. I kinda like the Reanimate and Entomb package.
It is definitely some of the things that let me. I would say I pull that from so I play on Arena. I even play Gitrog on Arena for whatever reason. Without Dakmor is a wild choice, which is where my Underrealm Lich and my Soul Evisceration lines come from. Basically, is that I know that if I can mill and I cause a Titan Shuffle, or even a shuffle from a Guy's Blessing, they'll take the damage and then they're an infinite loop, and we'll figure it out from there. But
Yeah, I think being able to reanimate some of the
a stacked
cards,
beast, a Draenith that someone removed. There's a lot of things that are juicy to reanimate now for sure.
yes, and Entomb being a good Dagmar salvage tutor is kinda a no-brainer in a faster list, I could say.
Yeah, it's just 1 mana, find your outlet piece, and then draw a card normally, or at least, or maybe dredge. I don't know. I
Yes,
Another thing, instead of with 6 though, I've also been thinking about necromancy again, because that also can be a flash speed enabler. It can also maybe steal a devoted druid someone's trying to eat with their brewmaster, or try to steal other things that people are trying to reanimate themselves. Those things in the past that have happened to me that have made me kind of miss cards like that. But
I think
I don't know.
Necromancy is kinda flexible too.
Yeah,
Like, you can play it and it's not a bad decision, but it's not really necessary. I think talking about Dagmar Savage is like, I have a lot of cards I own are in English, but
yeah,
some of the cards I own are in German because the pronunciation is kind of hilarious. And Dagmar Savage in German is called Überreste von Dagmar, and I think it kind of sounds hilarious. So
I
I do
love
think
that.
it's like the German version is kind of hilarious. So it's one of the few German cards in this deck because it sounds so hilarious, so funny.
I mean,
Having
hey, if you ever want to get rid of any German cards, you hit me up because I will gladly take foreign cards over English cards any day.
yeah, for sure, I can. As a person living in Germany, it's not hard to get German cards. Most of the time, they are cheaper because the people want to get English cards. I don't know why. For some
wild.
reason, I kind of find it funny to have some German hilarious sounding cards. So yeah, that's just for all the Gitrog fans out there. It's called Überreste von Dagmar.
I love that.
It's kind of hilarious.
My decks tend to be like the Rosetta Stone, so to speak, because I'll have Russian, German, Italian. I have some Korean in there. Like it's whatever one I find at the time. That's not because I don't like foils personally. So Yeah, it's literally like every language combined into one. So
I kinda like this idea of having like a whole nation, a lot of nation deck like Rosetta Stone. I think I kinda like the idea. I'm not a fan of the newer foils. It's like they're curling all the time, and I don't like it. And yeah, I've like my Green Sun Zenith is Russian, so you have some foreign cards, but most are English or German or Japanese. My Gitrog is actually Japanese. Kind of
nice.
like that vibe.
Well, with that, where can the people find you, Simon?
Yeah, I'm not really a man of social media. I have like a small German podcast. I think it's for most English speaker it's not really interesting because it's hard to understand because we're speaking German. So yeah, I'm just not really a person of social media to be fair. So there's nothing big to shout out. I'm not posting a lot of stuff. So yeah, I'm just glad to help people playing the deck. So yeah, if you want to get better at the deck, hit those two hosts from this podcast up there. I've checked it myself. They're really, really good Gitrog player. You can say put it this way. I really like the conversation. And if you have Gitrog questions, just hit those two up. They can help you, I think, at anything. And yeah,
Well,
I
thank you,
think
Simon.
I think it's good to shout out people, or not shout out when you're podcast, but I think it's good to mention that you are both really good Gitrog player as well. And I think I really like the chance to present myself on a like bigger stage, but I'm glad to be asked to join the podcast. It was kind of I smiled a little bit when I got the message because I like talking and I like talking about magic decks and I like talking about magic decks with people playing the same decks as me and I like talking to people that understand what they are doing and those two hosts from this sweet ass podcast really understand what they're talking about.
Oh, I appreciate that.
My
Yeah.
heart,
Well,
my
thank
heart.
Hit
I hope
those
you had
two.
a lot of fun. Yeah.
I had a lot of fun. You kind of saw it when I take another mulligan and another mulligan. Give me another hand.
mulligan.
Another mulligan. Give me
I
another
feel
hand.
it.
Let's talk about his hands.
It's
Yeah.
like a drug after a little bit, you know?
Yeah, talking about his hands and thinking about like you're in seat 4. It depends everything on this hand. If it's good or not, and you're like, where can I go with this? So yeah, I totally like this format. Yeah, really,
Awesome.
really enjoyed this episode. And
Thank
yeah,
you.
follow this podcast. Give this podcast a like. Give it a thumbs up on Spotify or give it 5 stars.
Man, I should have saved
Love it.
him for last. Wilson, where can we find you?
With you in our server, the Commander and Coffee server, where we have beautiful discussions about other people's decks too when we're really bored late at night. Come hang. It'll be fun. We'll get some testing in sooner or later. We have a lot of tournaments coming up that we're all going to.
Yeah, and if you, Simon, if you're ever free and around the same time that we're playing games by any opportunity, feel free to hit us up. We have zero problem with that.
Yeah, for sure. Might join 1 or 2 games. I kind of would like a whole, after playing like 3 Kinnan in a final pod, I would like to play 2 Gitrogs. You know, me on Gitrog
double
and 2
frog
other on
pod.
Gitrogs. So, whole frog pod, you know, just for the vibe.
Oh, you're gonna make me rebuild my frog? Is that what's gonna happen here?
See, the best
I
part
hope.
is I have my brew. Billy also has his brew, which is funny.
Oh, yes. I would love that. I would love playing the whole swamp, you know,
Quad frog
sitting
beat
there.
down.
Yes, and
Frog
just
frog.
like no combos, just swinging 6 at you with death touch.
I love that. With that, I am Billy with Commander Coffee. You can find me at CMDR_coffee on Twitter and I believe Blue Sky now. Big shout out to Dragon Roast Coffee, our sponsor of the podcast. Remember to use code Commander for 15% off. Wilson did mention that we do have some tournaments coming up. We have one that we're actually hosting over at Sword and Stone Games. Shout out to them. over on the 21st of February. That is going to be a 1.5K smaller event. Usually we get around 50, 60 players, so it'll be fun. But what's most important and what I'm most excited for, and also I'm going to grab your thoughts real quick after that, Simon. Simon, do you remember the Pride format that Wizards released back in June of last
June?
year?
Yeah.
Okay, so our friend Kai, one of our other co-hosts here, he took that Pride format and ran with it. We're calling it Coalition. So same concept of two partners. And then we unbanned Jeweled Lotus and unbanned something else. I can't remember off the top of
Paradox
my head.
Engine and Coalition itself.
Yeah,
Coalition Victory.
and Coalition Victory, because Coalition. So,
So
who would you partner with, Frog?
Yeah, because I know we've talked about this many times. What legendary creature or background from the D&D set would you pair with Gitrog Monster? I'll give you my.
Yeah.
Oh, I was going to tell you my cheat answer, but if you have an idea, by all means, tell me. I want to know.
To be fair, I'm not good at the whole D&D set. I don't know what's in the D&D set, but my decision would either be red or blue. That's
Red or
the
blue?
colors
Okay.
I would add. It's one color I could add, right? It's not two colors.
Oh,
You
so
could technically put, like, if you wanted to put Crom as the partner, you could do that. If you wanted to put, like, I don't know, Joyra, whatever partner you want, every legendary creature has a partner.
Then you get to add is it to it instead. So a partner pairing that I do, the cheat to make my life easier, is because you saw how my deck was built. I play 6 Frog. And I just get to have 6 in the command zone with Gitrog. And I get to go down 6 lines, or I get to go down Frog lines, and no one ever knows what ones I'm doing. And that's kind of like my little fun thing. But some things that we've been joked about is doing Rog Frog, which is Rograk or Gitrog for all those explosive high roll hands that we were talking about earlier, where we just play a bunch of the rituals, we try to play Gitrog as soon as possible, and then we try to stick a discard outlet and win. But
yeah, with Rograk being a viable choice, viable option, I would choose probably playing good old Junt with Rograk and fire it off this way.
Yep. I can definitely see that. But yeah, so we're actually going to be running the first Coalition tournament on Sunday as our redemption event. So check it out. There'll be more to come to that. We'll post about it. We've been posting about it. But yeah, check that out. It'll be a lot of fun. And if you're in the area, come on, show out. And Simon, if you're ever in the Pennsylvania tri-state area, let us know. We'll get a hold of you.
Yes, for sure.
All right. With all that, everyone, I'm Billy, and I'm out of coffee. Bye, everyone.
goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.